Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video. And Iksar, the lead of Hearthstone, actually went onto Twitter multiple threads and had a lot of insight about the possible future of some things that could fundamentally change the game. We're going to go over that. Friendly reminder, on Wednesday, I'm going to be announcing this giveaway winner of $100 of Hearthstone packs in my own pocket. All you have to do is like and comment on the video in the description below, as well as be subscribed to the channel, and you'll have a chance to win. And again, we're almost at 52,000 subs, so thank you guys all for that support. What am I talking about? What did Iksar respond to that could hint at possible new modes or changes to the game? Well, Zeddy's a prominent Hearthstone content creator. He's been around since like as long as I can remember. I've always loved watching his stuff. He's played a lot of ladder, and he transitioned to Battlegrounds, and then he's been playing a lot of ladder again lately. Put out a really interesting take that took off nearly 1,000 likes on Twitter. With Hearthstone needs a Highlander only ladder. The game is just better with Highlander decks. 30 different cards in more variety in every way. It brings back value in trading board control games, weakens hand damage combos, and early curve face damage decks. He even responded with the usual, snarky response of just play Arena, lol, and said Arena doesn't have ladder ranks, doesn't let you play the cards you actually want to play, and involves matchups between uneven decks and players. He also said, I think the mode would also make Blizzard a lot of money. Legendary cards tend to be really good in Highlander decks, and bad legendaries are usually good in those decks, even if not in traditionally competitive ones. And I have to agree. I think Highlander mode would be a lot of fun. I think it would be great. I'd love to see more variety in modes, and this even warranted a response from Iksar with basically, I'm listening. He says, I'm listening, and Zeddy's even respond, how about just a heroic brawl with that rule? Could be cheaper entry, smaller prices. I played all week, and that's the mode I've pitched forever, is just a Brawliseum period in the game, like Arena, Pans, that has alternating rules. That could be your variety mode. And it was mentioned by another user here that you could re-innovate classic format into a monthly rotating format among the 4 months per expansion cycle. First being classic, second being core plus 5 predetermined expansions, third being core plus latest expansion only. Weird formats such as a Highlander format, as Zeddy suggested, less formats concurrently and keeps it fresh. So you would just change classic to be this rotating format mode. And Iksar responded again with Matt London, who is the the modes lead, and I just discussed this almost exact idea today. So they kind of leave off on that, but we've been talking, we've seen speculation about this type of stuff a lot, because classic, just for the most part, there is a community there are people that play it, and even those players for the most part want to see change. Like, they're bored, like they're just want to do something different. And I think this style of thing would be great. You change classic, or have a permanent Brawliseum mode that has alternating rules like this. 1 month it's a Highlander only ladder, 1 month it's like classic, 1 month it's a GVG or an Ungora meta, something like that. And the fact that Iksar is pretty prominent talking about this stuff, throwing out that they've talked about it, gives me hope. And I would love to hear what your guys' thoughts on it, if that's something you would love to see. I would be shocked if I saw comments being like, no, I don't want that in Hearthstone. I think it'd be great. And right now in Hearthstone and like Standard and Wild, it's a pretty rough meta for a lot of traditional Hearthstone players. It's not a lot of board battling. It's basically scam or be scammed, OTK or OTK'd, or just play warrior and cheat a lot of mana, right? Like, there's just, it feels like traditional Hearthstone is really hard to come by, and that's why I kind of gravitate more towards Arena. But lately Arena is just full of colossal minions, which is problematic in itself, and it just, did I draft the better deck more than ever rather than skill based? Might have a video on Arena in general, why I'm really sad about it. And Duels, kind of like, it's a lot about passives and stuff like that. So I'm really lacking that feel for, that traditional Hearthstone experience, and that could do it. And more on that front of the board not mattering, Zacko retweeted a certain rogue main. I cannot read their tweets, I'm blocked by, but we're not going to go incognito because we don't need to really care that much about what he says, because Zach, he's like the Vicious Syndicate writer. He puts all that stuff together. He says, I don't know why people can't figure this one out. Basically, it's saying, the tweet was saying that board battles don't matter because removal is too good. He said, I've said this before, but for board to matter as much as people want it to matter, which I don't even think is interesting or good for the game. Highly disagree on that, because as the board has mattered less honest, in Hearthstone, the popularity of the game has dropped significantly over the past few years, and that's just a trend you cannot ignore. Across every metric, Hearthstone has declined, and I think a lot of it has to do with Hearthstone's a board-based card game. It always has been, and when you take that out, you alienate a large part of your audience, and I think that's why you see so many cries for it. So I really disagree with that take. But he does say if you want to bring that back, it's removal. And Iksar responded to this with a pretty significant chain here. He says he mostly agrees when removal cards are more abundant than endgame threats, it's better to run card combos that ignore removal or find infinite or near infinite resource generation. This is hard to achieve overnight, which means we'd have to make many endgame threats over time, and 7+ mana cards that don't end the game when they aren't answered are really hard to get people to play. More likely we can achieve in a rotation set through printing nearly 0 end game removal, mass nerfs, and a mass of Cairn or Rag-like endgames. So basically what he's saying, if they want like this thing to happen, where they want big boards to matter again, we'd have to go back to the day where removal wasn't as good, right? Like you can't shield shatter for 0, you can't clear the board so that you could just stall for a combo. Like if you can't stall for a combo with removal, you got to fight for board and stay alive with the board. And then if you're doing that, you're fighting for board with the board, then you have late game bombs like in the old days, or Ragnaros like in the old days. It's funny to say the old days, but a Dragon Queen Alexstrasza is like the old days where that could work in. As it currently is right now, it seems like every deck, particularly with Rush, the Rush mechanic is a big offender of this. When you have so many efficient Rush cards that can just clear off everything, or you have a card like Snowfall Guardian, which can just freeze the entire board, create a lethal or target itself, can also be that issue. So this is the second year in a row we have seen Iksar mention, in particular 2 years now, mass nerfs to try and restore the game to some kind of normalcy. But that's what happens when every expansion power creeps upon every expansion. When it keeps escalating, we get to this point where the removal has to be so good, the early game has to be good, so good, the card draw has to be so good that there's no way for the board to matter. It's not a thing. And you couple that with quest lines or hero cards and all this other stuff, yeah, we're at this point where I don't even know what they can do with the next set other than just make even more batshit crazy broken cards that aren't going to be late game cards, because we just have we have all these colossals. They're the most powerful late game minions we've ever seen, right? They're absurd stats. Like look at Ozamat. How much stats is that for 8 mana? The card sees like no play. Like it's crazy because it just doesn't matter anymore because of this situation. So I don't know, are we gonna get mass nerfs? Are we gonna see this kind of goal achieved? Because I don't know if it's sustainable for Hearthstone to keep going on this path. I was talking about on my stream today, like how can you keep power creeping at this level? Because every set seems to push the boundaries further. You can't keep doing that unless you up the health total or something in the game. Something's got to give, and I really feel like maybe this is what they need to do. They need to set everything back next rotation, bring things in, because right now I do feel like it's out of control to the point where, yeah, we're begging for anything. We're begging for a Highlander only ladder, anything to get back to some kind of conventional Hearthstone, because it's really, really hard to come by at the moment. So I thought I'd share those tidbits with you. Kind of interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.